What's going on guys, it's Baz here from Gaming Gem, and today we're going to be taking a look at the XTRFY M4. This is another ergonomic lightweight gaming mouse that's hit the market alongside the G-Wolves Skoll. So I'm going to compare both of these mice side by side throughout the video so that you guys get an idea of the differences between the two. Overall, I'm really impressed. I think it's got a really unique shape, so I like to see mice manufacturers trying to innovate with the shapes that they're designing. This is also a really nice pickup for people with smaller or medium-sized hands that like to palm grip or claw grip. A lot of the existing ergonomic mice are actually quite large, so it can be difficult for people with smaller hands to find an ergonomic mouse that's going to fit their hands nicely. In terms of shape, it's coming in at 12 centimeters long. The grip width is 5.85 centimeters, so it's quite a narrow grip width for an ergonomic mouse. And the height is around 3.95 centimeters. If you're considering picking up the G-Wolves Skoll, then it's worth knowing that the Skoll is significantly bigger than the M4. In terms of length, the Skoll's actually 12.5 centimeters long, and more notably, the grip width is around 6.8 centimeters, so it's significantly wider. And it's longer, and it's also taller as well because the height of the Skoll is coming in at 4.2 centimeters. As for the weight between these two, the M4 is about 69 grams and the G-Wolves Skoll on my scales were coming in at around about 67-68 grams, so pretty much the same in terms of weight. So due to the differences in size between these two mice, the G-Wolves Skoll is geared more towards people with larger hands, probably of around about 19.5 centimeters or longer. If you've got smaller hands than this and you palm grip, then I would probably consider the M4 over the Skoll, just because it's smaller and it would probably fit your hands a little bit better. So one of the main differences between these two mice is the left hand side grip. As you can see on the M4, the side curves out a lot more compared to the Skoll, and this does give the mouse a completely different feel. I find it really comfortable and it gives my thumb more support when playing, and overall it was a little bit weird at first, but I actually prefer it to the EC2B and the Skoll's shape. As for the right hand side on the M4, it does have a steeper decline compared to the G-Wolves Skoll, so you will feel that it is a little bit different. One thing I did notice with having the left hand side flare out more was that it pushed my thumb downwards. So as you can see here, my thumb is further down, so it's quite far away from the side buttons. So to activate the side buttons, you have to move your thumb quite far, which has actually become a little bit of an issue when playing, especially if you use your side buttons a lot like I do in Fortnite and Call of Duty, etc. I've found that I've had to move my thumb quite far to actually reach those side buttons. So you can see here on like the Viper, for example, there's barely any distance for me to move. And as well, if you look at the G Pro Wireless or most ambidextrous gaming mice, there really isn't that much distance for you to travel to activate the side buttons. So it is something that the M4 does kind of force you to do, is that your thumb kind of naturally lays lower compared to some of these other mice. One of my favourite things about the M4 is the clicks. The primary 1 and mouse 2 buttons are extremely tactile and they feel great. I think they're one of the best clicks that we've had so far this year, and it rivals the Viper Ultimate, the G Pro Wireless and the XM1 in terms of clicks. The side buttons are decent overall. They're not my favourite side buttons. I do think they're placed a little high on the mouse and they do have a lot of travel time. There isn't really much pre-travel at all. They actuate really early, but they do feel a little bit mushy and there is a lot of travel time after actuation. The scroll wheel has really light steps, they're evenly defined and overall feels really solid. I quite like it. I think that the click as well is fairly lightweight. You don't have to go to the gym to press it in, so always a thumbs up in my book. As for the sensor, the M4 is using the PMW 3389, so top quality optic. Not going to go into the sensor in too much detail because all the sensors nowadays are really good. If you guys want me to go in detail more with the sensors, then just let me know in the comments. The button on top of the M4 isn't actually a DPI button, which is what I thought it was initially. I'm sure a lot of people make the same mistake, but it's actually for toggling through the different RGB modes. So you've got a list of different ones. You've got solid color, you've got rainbow, you've got striped, You've got basically just your typical RGB cycles, and you can even turn it off if you prefer to have no RGB at all. Everything is configured on the mouse itself, so there's no software. The polling rate, the DPI and the RGB is just all on the mouse. DPI button and polling rate button being on the bottom. So my hands are 17.5 by 9 centimeters, and this is me palm gripping the mouse, just to give you an idea of the size. This should help you decide as well how big your hands are going to be on it. It is primarily a palm grip mouse. You can claw grip it though, just because of how small it is. Not recommended for fingertip players though, the hump's just too big, it's not going to give you much maneuverability at all. But overall, a really solid palm grip mouse. One area I think could improve with the M4 is the cable. Here it looks identical to the Skoll's cable, but they're actually completely different. The M4's cable is a lot less flexible, and you can kind of see here the way that I'm moving the cable back and forth. I'm holding the cable at the same point and trying to move them with the same amount of force, and you can see just how much the M4 is actually moving. It's literally how rigid the cable is. It's just not nearly as flexible as the Skoll, MM710, Model O, really any of the paracords that have come out this year. If you put it in a bungee, you're really not going to notice it that much, but it's worth being aware of this and that you might want to paracord it if you do want to make this your main. Back onto a positive though, and the mouse feet are brilliant. They're PTFE feet and they glide really nicely. They're better than the Skolls in my opinion, and they're pretty much just equal to most of the other PTFE feet that we're seeing on the latest mice. In terms of durability, the M4 feels solid for being a lightweight ergonomic mouse. You compare this to some of the other mice releases this year and this thing feels really durable. I've only had it for about a month now, but overall it's been great. I've noticed zero wobble on the mouse 1 and mouse 2. There is slight creaking when you squeeze the mouse, but I mean, I think that's just nitpicking at that point. Overall, really solid palm grip mouse. So some of you are probably wondering, should I pick the M4 or should I pick the G-Wolves Skoll? And I think to answer that, you've kind of got to ask yourself a few questions. First of all, how big are your hands? If you've got hands larger than like 19.5 centimeters and you primarily palm grip, then you might want to take a look at the Skoll. The M4 might be a little bit too small for you. Go back to the video a little bit earlier on where I was showing you my hands on the mouse to give you an idea. Also, have a think about whether you use your side buttons a lot, because the side buttons on the M4, although they are decent, they're not the best, and they are placed quite high on the mouse. So depending on your hand size, you might struggle to hit those side buttons efficiently, so bear that in mind as well. Overall though, the M4 in my opinion is a better mouse. It's got better clicks, but overall they're quite evenly matched. I think it just comes down to personal preference. I also think the M4 shape is really unique. I like it a lot. I don't think it's for everyone, but overall I think the M4 is a better mouse. Alright guys, that's my XTRFY M4 review. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I've got the Razer Ultimate coming up next. Follow me on my socials in the description and check out the Game & Gem website as well for more information on more mice and my recommendations. That's all from me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.